Good morning. Good morning. Rise and shine. It's Casey's gonna run his mouth time. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not gonna put anybody on blast this morning or anything like that. Though I may put some mindsets on blast, maybe. So I decided to do a live this morning. I owed you guys one last night. The second half of the cannabis one, that didn't happen because life is happening right now too. So I put WakenBake on the title of this simply because I just finished, and well, not really. I'm kind of still. It's just sitting over here to the side in the process of getting my mind right at the start of the day. And then I wanted to talk about Scorched Earth. I made a post yesterday, and I've referenced it several times in the last couple of weeks. And so I made a post yesterday that simply said, Scorched Earth, the only thing left is me. See you on the other side of the flames. And of course, that's a little cryptic, I realize, and it probably threw some people off. And one person had commented, are you all right? The answer to that question is not really. Really, I'm not. I mean, I am, but I'm not. Scorched Earth mode is wore me out and all that. And then other people ask, what does this even mean? So I'm going to tell you what my Scorched Earth mode means, and like the premise behind it, and I guess what my goal is. And I guess I really just gave it a name this time around because I realized I have this pattern of behavior that does this sometimes. And so Scorched Earth is basically when you reach this point in your life where you're just so sick of the bullshit around you, just everything that's going on around you. And so you just set fire to all of it, just torch it all. Now, of course, guys, I mean that like symbolically. Don't literally go torch your town and shit and everything around you. Duh. But symbolically speaking, and just put every fucking bit of the things that you don't like around you on blast. Just torch it all. I rolled up into work one day, and I've been having issues with work, and I just set the whole place on fire. I just ripped everything, just fucking called everything out, put everything, all the bullshit, I put every fucking bit of it on blast. And that's basically what Scorched Earth mode is about in your life. And honestly, people tell me I'm crazy and I shouldn't do that, but it's like my motive, like the way it plays out in my mind, and the point behind doing it is I feel like if you reach that point where you are just so sick of the bullshit, the shit being done around you or not being done, the shit being said to you, people's lies, fakeness, you just get tired of all of it, because I'm pretty sure we're all fucking there. And if you're not there yet, you're close, or you've been there, dialed back, you're coming back to it again. But when you get to that place, what Casey does is I put it all on blast. I call out fucking everything, every fucking body, and I torch it all. The reason being, like, think about a forest fire and like what we know about forest fires. And forest fires, they're tragic and like horrific when it happens and the forest is burning. But we know that after that, the forests, they come back healthier. The environments are healthier after you've torched it all. And so my thinking is that when I do that, I want to see, after I scorch the earth, I want to see what's left standing. Because everything fake and bullshit that is not meant for me and shouldn't be in my life, I just blasted it all. I just fucking torched it. And if it's still there, and it's still part of my life and it's still standing, then it's fucking supposed to be there. You know what I mean? And it's meant for me, and it's built on something solid. That's why I blasted it, and it's still fucking there. And then the other side of that is I want to see what grows. What grows? Because I know after the forest fire, the trees are going to be stronger, healthier. It's going to be a more lush, vibrant, alive environment. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, the same thing applies to our life. Fuck it, if you're tired of it, torch it, blast it, and just see what's left. And it's not easy because, again, a forest fire and a scorched earth is a horrific, scary event. You know what I mean? Like, We watch it, you know. But you got to ride out to the other side. Like, that scorched earth is not the end, you know. Scorching everything in your life is not the end of your life. It's the end of, it burns away all the dead shit that's just embers and fuel for fire of something new, maybe. I don't know. You know, and I titled this, I added conflict avoidance in the title of the description of this, because it was some conflict avoidance that kind of sent me into scorched earth mode. You know, and so I feel like we've all probably experienced in our life. So you have these moments, issues, conflicts, relationships. I mean, it could happen in relationships, jobs, I mean, whatever. Again, I put a lot of things in context of relationships, be it friends. I don't even know if I should say relationships, but connections with other human beings. You know what I mean? Relationships, because they're great examples for a lot of stuff. And I feel like so often in times, and I know I have, you experience these situations with people where an issue arises, somebody runs from it, and then you start hearing and seeing talk of things like, with the time I have left on earth, I don't want to spend it fighting or arguing or blaming or being petty or blah, 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 whatever it says. I just want to be at peace. I just want peace. Well, I feel like when those things are said, it's usually said by the people that created the issue to begin with, that then ran from it. You know what I mean? And that's not peace. That's conflict avoidance. That's conflict avoidance. That's emotional avoidance. It's intimacy avoidance. It's fear and cowardliness, and it has nothing to do with just wanting peace in your life. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. If you're in a relationship and an issue arises and one person runs from it, you know what I mean? That's the people that are usually saying, I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight, I don't want to argue, are usually the people that created it to begin with. Because if you've been affected by the issue, you probably want to take it head on, or at least I do. That's where I came to in my life. Like, I don't do issue avoidance, because it's fear-based. It's not peace. It's fear. You're running from an issue. You're avoiding an issue. You're saying, because you don't want peace, and I just want peace in my life. I don't want to fight anymore. Except, how many times have you said that in your life? Think about it. How many times have you said about an issue in your life, I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want a life that's fighting and blaming. I just want peace. But how many times have you said that? You know what I mean? And if you're saying it all the time, then chances are you're not. It's bullshit. It's bullshit when you're saying it, because you can't conflict, you can't avoid it. Like, issues happen, and they happen to help us grow. Like, that's the fucking point of conflict, you know? Constructive, peaceful conflict, I guess. Like, conflict doesn't have to be something that's mired in anger and frustration, or that's a connotation to the word conflict. Call it an issue, you know. An issue arises when you avoid it. You hold on, I got ads playing. Skip that shit. FKJ in the background as always, guys. But avoiding an issue, like, in the name of peace, is bullshit. It just shoves it back. And that issue is going to come up again and again and again in some version in your life, because you're avoiding it. You know what I mean? And if it keeps coming up, change that shit. Change whatever mindset is causing it, because when you avoid it, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting that connection, and you're hurting another person. Because if you're running from it and avoiding it, it's probably something serious, or something that had an effect. Or why would you run from it? You know what I mean? That's the thing. If it's some minor issue, people don't run from minor issues. Or they run from big shit, which is understandable, I guess. But it solves nothing, and it will hurt you in the long run. Like, don't repress shit, you know? And I talk about my battles of addiction a lot, and I reference them a lot. To other people, and like dealing with their shit, and how I come across to people, because I don't avoid conflict, I don't avoid issues, I face them head on. I'm wide fucking open, I'm raw, I'm honest, and all those things. But I have to be. Like, I have to. There's no other way I can be in my life if I want to stay clean and sober. I mean, Honestly, if it's not somewhere you've ever been, sit back and listen to somebody that has, and like take it in and learn from it, because the world can learn a lot from a drug addict, especially one that's overcoming it. Because what's needed to do it, like in order for me to get out of a 20-year narcotic, pain pill, opiate, meth addiction, and then to get off of the alcohol that followed that, required me to certainly not avoid the fucking issues in my life. That's for goddamn sure. I had to face that shit head on, and I still have to. That's the thing, I still have to face those things head on every day and be honest about them, because every day I live the results of those choices. I have to live them and face them every day, because my life is not what it was. It's not what I want it to be. And the rebuilding is hard. And it takes fucking time. Like, I'm 7 years clean and sober off the pain pills and shit, but my life is still not where I want it to be. Like, I still don't make enough money. I still can't pay my bills. I still have problems with relationships. The shit around me still pisses me off. But I can't run from it, because my running was putting a pill up my fucking nose. At one point it was putting a needle in my arm, and at the last point it was putting a bottle down my throat. And it just created more fucking issues. And so I can't do that. And so I can't do it with the things around me anymore either. You know what I mean? I'm not going to. And why would I? Why would I want anybody around me to be that way either? And I'll say to people, and I'll reference that, and people have said to me when I'm trying to suggest to them about changing their own behavior patterns and mindsets, it's like, and they'll say to me, I'm like, you're telling me you can't do this, but I'm like, man, I got my life and I pulled myself out of a 20-year drug addiction of like just running from my issues. I know you can do it. And they'll say, I'm not you. Well, no, you're not. But you say that as if I'm somebody special. But I'm not. I'm just Casey. I'm just another human being that deals with the same shit. I got a good brain. That's what I got going for me, I guess. I have a good brain that can piece things together and analyze and figure things out, But I'm offering that to you too. That's the thing. Like, I'm not keeping this brain and how I've figured these things out and how I've applied these things in my life to change. I'm not keeping it to myself. I'm sharing it with you. You say I'm not you, but if we're all one, then yeah, you are. You are me, and I'm you. And I am you as you are he, and we are we, and we are all together. However, cuckoo, ka-choo, go, you know what I'm talking about. I am the walrus. Is that the song? I am the walrus. But that's the truth, and that's getting kind of new agey. But yeah, but you are me, and I am you. And it's simply, if you want to get on the super metaphysical level, it's all energy. But even just in a societal context, and I say it all the fucking time, and I always will, we're all existing and operating from some same version of the same subconscious programming, because we all live and grew up in the same fucking society. Like, I'm in the United States, but we all grew up in the United States. All our parents, for the most part, are being generalized. I realize immigration, and I get that. But, okay, at the simplest, just for the sake of the point I'm trying to make, we all grew up in this country. Our parents grew up in this country. Their parents, our grandparents, grew up in this country. So we've all been affected by the way this society is run and everything that's happened. Like, I dare say, again, two things have us all fucked up here. Childhood sexual abuse and abandonment in childhood. And that's fucked us up. All of us. And it's skewed our ideas of love, because when we're at those young points in life, when we're learning about things and we're sponges for just everything going on around us, we're kids. We're just absorbing everything we see. And we know this. That's a fact. But I think we forget about it. And we forget about it when we're dealing with our own kids, but we forget about it in our own lives and how it affected us. If that's true, and we know that's true, and we apply it to our kids, Well, that happened to us too. When we were kids, we're adults now, and we look back on our life, like, we hate it half the time. I mean, if people are honest, I don't know, if you're at a place in your life that you want to be, then, like, bravo. A lot of people aren't. Or they're no longer at a place in their life that they want to be. Because we change and we grow as people, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to stay in the same place if you're not happy there anymore and it's not serving you. You know? It's creating conflicts. But don't avoid don't run from the conflicts. Address them. Like, face them head on. And if it doesn't work out, then go. But at least allow some closure, some honesty there, because if you just run from the conflict, you're not happy, and I'm just going to run from it, and you just run to the next thing, and yeah, you're happy for a little bit because you feel like you just escaped. I get it. You just escaped something toxic that was and you're like, you breathe because you escaped something. But if you just ran in avoidance, that same thing is going to happen again. And whatever place you ran to that you're currently happy in is not going to be a happy place anymore, because you didn't deal with the shit that was causing the conflict to begin with. It's just going to repeat itself. So people, please, stop lying to yourselves about avoiding issues for the sake of peace, because overall it's bullshit, and it's fear-based. People running from their own shit because they don't want to face their own inner demons that caused the issue to begin with. You know, that's just what it is. So I hope all that made sense. I feel like it made sense. Again, I started with WakenBake. Oh, pardon me. I'm gonna slide off camera for a minute. Because while I'm in the state of Virginia and I can legally consume cannabis, I don't know how Facebook is going to feel about me smoking on camera, so I'm not going to push it, because I like doing this and I don't want this whole talk to get yanked because I hit the bowl on camera. You know what I mean? So I get kind of ranty and I'm stoned. So I hope all that made sense. And just, I don't know. The conflict avoidance that happened in my life got me fucked up. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. And it sent me into a scorched earth mode that is serving its purpose, I think. We'll see. And I made that post at when I started this, because I got all baked up. And so forgot where I started, and so I'm gonna try and circle back around to the main point of the scorched earth and all of that, and the conflict avoidance. I had made a post yesterday about scorched earth. The only thing that was left was me. And as I discussed throughout this, I've torched everything around me. And I'm standing here kind of looking at it, but it's all still burning. There's shit still burning, and I realize, no, wait, I'm part of Earth 2. I'm part of the scorched earth 2. And I've caused just as much bullshit in my own life as everything around me, probably more. And if we're honest about it, a lot of the bullshit in our life is there because we've allowed it to be there. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves, really. If we're accepting the bullshit, that's why it's in our life. So who's to blame for the bullshit in our life? Is it the people creating it, or is it us for allowing it? I dare say it's us for allowing it, because our whole life is built on our choices. And we've just been taught to blame everything else and everybody's choices and everybody else's actions for where our life is at, when the truth is it's really our own choices. And that's another thing about getting off the drugs and the alcohol that I had to realize, that this is all my choices. I can't even blame the addiction anymore, because that was even my choice. And that's not to say, let me put some context to that statement. That's not to say that being a drug addict and ending up in addiction is a choice. That it's a choice that we consciously wake up and make. It isn't. It isn't. I mean, at a certain point, there's a choice, I guess, to take up that coping mechanism, because that's all addiction is. Drug addiction is a coping mechanism. It's an unhealthy coping mechanism to deal with everything in our lives. And, you know, I say drug addiction, but addiction is addiction, and it manifests itself in a variety of ways. I dare say after drugs, the next would probably be sex, gambling, kind of. Those make, I don't know. Drugs, sex, gambling, they all kind of seem to can easily fit together into one box. But then you can get into shopping. I was a workaholic for a long time. It was addiction I had. But again, it was a form of running from things. You know what I mean? My addictive life, my personal life sucked. So I just poured myself into work. And I became a mad workaholic. And I worked, no lie guys, for at least a decade. 100+ hours a week for 10 years straight. And when I say 100 hours a week, I mean that's every day. Like, that's working every 7 days a week for damn near a decade. And that sounds like an exaggeration. I promise you it is not. It is not. There are plenty of people in my life that can verify that fact. I worked at a 24-hour diner restaurant. You know, I worked at a restaurant that was open 24 hours. I could easily dump myself into it and live at the restaurant, and I did. The end result of that, honestly, the flip side, the silver lining of that part of my life, if you will, I got really, really, really fucking good at restaurants and cooking. And I tell people, I talk about it, like, if I had gone to college, if I'd have put 100 hours a week into college for a decade, I'd be a fucking brain surgeon right now, if I wanted to. I could be anything I wanted to if I'd have done it. You know what I mean? Just think about that. I put it into restaurants. Through avoidance of my life and running, but created a really successful career out of it, and a lot of skills I take with me, but have also come back to bite me in the ass too, because people think I'm real arrogant and egotistical in the kitchen. And I suppose if you make me have to prove it, then yeah, I guess. But most of the people that would say that are people that kind of pushed up on, like, oh, this guy thinks he's the best, and like talking shit about me. So then I have to be like, well, okay, let me prove it to you. So you can see I'm not full of shit. I'm actually really fucking good at this. And that's people's own ego and has really nothing to do with me. But I've been dealing with that lately in work too. And it was part of a conflict that was being avoided that I totally set blast to. But I came out of it with a raise. So there's, you know, to illustrate my scorched earth method and how it's playing out. I scorched earth, I got a job, and I think it's finally moving in the direction that it was intended to be anyway. At some point, somebody got to call out the bullshit, because otherwise everybody's just going to walk around it, because that's what we're taught to do. We're programmed to just repress our feelings and our emotions. Don't run your mouth too much and bitch too much, Casey, because now nobody wants to fucking hear it, because all you're doing is bitching and complaining all the time. Well, take care of the fucking shit and I won't be bitching and complaining all the time. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. But then it becomes about me or you or, you know, whoever context it's in. And the issue still doesn't get fucking resolved, but I'm or you or whoever is just supposed to shut the fuck up. It's just the way it is. It is what it is. Just deal with it. Why? I'm not going to just fucking deal. I'm going to bounce is what the fuck I'm going to do. Because, again, for me to be the person for me to even still be taking a breath right now, the fact that I'm still alive, to call you people out and put you on fucking blast that you don't want to hear, is because I had to stop ignoring shit. You're telling me you're pushing me back. You're trying to push me back to a toxic life. Is what you people are doing to me when you do that. And that might sound extreme, but think about it. You are telling a person that the only reason they're even standing in front of you right now is because they had to get real and fucking honest about their life. And you're telling them to shut the fuck up about the bullshit around them. Just be quiet about it, Casey. Just suck it up. Okay, I'll go suck it up my nose with a straw and another pill. How about that? And I'll just numb it out and I'll shut the fuck up. Or maybe I'll stick a straw in that gin bottle this time and suck it up through the straw. How about that? Should I do that? Just, of course not. It's fucking stupid. Why would I? So don't tell me shit like that, people. If you know me, I'm just saying, in my personal life, don't ever fucking tell me shit like that. I'm going to put you on blast about it. I'm going to fucking call you out as bullshit, and that's your own defeatist limiting mindset, not mine. And so I can either go or you can go, because this isn't going to work. Because I'm not hearing that shit in my fucking life. I'm not hearing I can't change. This is just the way I am. No fucking bullshit. And if you're not strong enough, or got the courage and the balls to face your own shit, then get the fuck away from me. Because I do. And I'm fucking going to. And if you don't, then we're not going to vibe and go away. But you don't have to be fucking perfect. You just got to be have the courage and the balls to be willing to face your shit. And if you're willing to do that, come the fuck on. All your imperfections, baggage, bring it fucking all. I got a lot of space. I emptied out a lot of mine. Not that I'm going to take on your baggage, but I will help you unload that shit and push it to the fucking side. But I'm not going to let you run from it. You know what I mean? And I realize that's what's fucked up a lot of my relationships in life. My romantic relationships, is because I reach this point in my life, I start pushing them to grow too past. I can see the limiting mindsets and the way the mindsets are affecting the relationship. I can see it. And because I've dealt with my own and faced them and shit, and still do every day, and because I believe that we're all operating from basically the same program, how we watch the same television, same country, we're all operating under different versions of the same program, so I kind of know what your program is already too, because it's the same as everybody else's. So it's not that hard to connect with people, know where they're coming from, because we're all coming from the same fucking place. We're all the same person. We're all the same. Life's just affected us different variations or depths or degrees of the same traumas. And so, if I'm in this connection with you and I know this, and this is the place I'm at in my life, I'm going to bring it into the relationship, especially if I like you. If I didn't love you in the relationship, I probably wouldn't give a fuck, and I wouldn't try and help you, because I would just bounce. But if I'm in this and I'm pushing up on these things that are hard to talk about, it's because I love you and I want you to grow, and I love what we have here, and I want it to grow too. And it's not going to if you don't. It's going to become stagnant. It's going to die. It's going to wither, and that's just a fact. You have to water it and nurture it, you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to prune off the dead shit that shouldn't be there anymore. You have to do that. That's part of nurturing things, pruning away the dead shit. And so I'm going to encourage you to do that. But I fuck things up because maybe I pushed too hard too soon. I haven't learned, or I'm learning to gauge when to stop pushing and let where it's at settle. Does that make sense? And just let it be where it is, and allow the nutrients in the water to settle into the soil, to get to the roots, I gotta give time for the growth to happen. I love it when I have little insights when I'm doing these, because that's exactly what it is. And I'm realizing it now. And that's why I do this, and that's why I talk excessively sometimes, is because it's how I process things for myself. And yeah, I'll talk to myself sometimes, because I got to say it out. I have to say it out loud, because otherwise it just rolls around in your head, and I can lie to myself in my head. But if I'm saying it out loud, especially on a video like this, that I can go back and watch myself, bullshit, Casey. You said it yourself, Casey. Don't be a fucking hypocrite. And I keep myself in check by doing this too, so it works. But I'm realizing right at this moment that that's what it is. Don't push so hard that you don't give, because if you overwater it and over prune it, you kill it, Casey. You kill it. And I'm realizing that's exactly what I did in this last relationship. I pushed too much too soon. I didn't allow enough time for the growth. Now there was issues on that side. The issues that I was pushing up on were issues. There's two people in a relationship. But But in all my relationships, this one really magnifies that pattern of mine. Like, I'm realizing it right now. So, okay, noted, Casey. Give the nutrients and the information and do the pruning, add the water. But then you have to allow time for it to set in. And then just gently nurture it. Talk to it with love. Okay, noted. I will do that going forward. I feel like my scorched earth mode is simmering down. Of course, the cannabis and the FKJ at this moment certainly makes me feel that way. But I don't feel the need. I feel like I've put so much shit on blast, and I put myself on blast to the point that I'm realizing, because again, I kept avoiding talking about myself. You see that? You see what I did there? Kept talking about scorched earth, scorched myself. Started at the beginning of this and still haven't talked about scorching myself. Just everybody. I talked about everything around me, not myself. But when I did that, it was scorched earth of the honest dumping of the reality of myself and where my life is really at. Not what I imagine it to be, not what I hope it'll be, what it actually is. The things that, my shortcomings, and the things that I've avoided, and the things that create, on my end, the conflicts in my life. And I had to put myself on blast too. You know what I mean? I got to put myself on blast. When I put myself on blast, I realized things like, fuck. The result of my life choices up to this point has led me to a place that I'll be in a toxic place. I don't have a lot of options. My whole life has been built on, and I'm realizing that for the most part, because of addiction, primarily, I'm 46 with a kid, and I've never supported myself. Now, I was in a 20-year marriage, and I guess we supported ourselves to a degree, but we had a fucking drug problem, so we supported a drug habit is what got supported, not our life. Like, we supported a drug habit, which led to needing help and support from other people. Living with family again, because we couldn't pay, because we weren't supporting ourselves, we were supporting drug habit. And I realized that, and while I say all that, and I realized that no, like, my entire life, because of that addiction, like, half of my life, first half of my life was childhood shit. Growing up, I went out on my own, addiction started, and that second half of my life was other people supporting me, more or less. And that's not to sound freeloader-ish, because I'm not like that. I worked during that whole span of time that I wasn't supporting myself, but I was living with family and shit and stuff like that. I was making killer money, and like I paid the money where I was staying. The rent that I was supposed to. I paid my bills. You know what I mean? But I never moved beyond that. I never grew. I never moved forward. I'm 46. I've never lived in my own place with just me, where I worked. I paid my bills. I didn't require the support of others. Like, I've never been there. You know what I mean? I got a kid now, and like the realization of where my life is at is I have a kid, and I exist right now with the support of my mother. We have property, and I have a place. She has a place. Everything's tied together, so it's like a mutual splitting of the bills, which works really well, honestly. And I think that's the way it was intended to be. Families were never supposed to be split apart, and like we are now, and just dismantled and disintegrated. That's an effect of the system that we live under. It's intentionally dismantling families and pulling apart the family unit, because the family unit is honestly where we're probably our strongest in life, if we're honest about it. But families are fucked up too. And so that's what it is. Now, honestly, I was going to say, like, I think honestly, probably the healthiest situation, and really the way that we were probably intended to live, is in these family units. Where I live in the mountains, there's hollers here, and the hollers are families. They don't all live together, but they all live in the same general area. Like, why not? It makes sense. And it's in today's world, with the cost of living and all of that, it really is the only thing that makes sense, because it's way fucking cheaper to do that. But at the same time, when you're around family and living with family, for me personally, my life choices and that 20 years of addiction and shit had an effect on my family. Negatively. For a long time. It still does too. That's what I said earlier in this, is like every day I have to face the choices that I made in my life. Every day. And that addiction and what it did to my life. And what it took from me and the place it put me in. I have no choice to. I can't avoid it. My mother can't avoid it. My daughter can't avoid it. We have to face it. And it's caused problems and issues and just my inability to adjust things because I was on drugs. And behaviors with my child because the first half of her life, Dad was on dope and drugs. And as I've said, that's when she was a sponge and she was learning by watching how to deal with things and how to be. She was watching parents that were avoiding issues and doing drugs and taking things from people and using people. That's what she saw. And I have to undo that programming now. And it's not easy. She's a good kid. She's really fucking smart. She's beautiful. I did good, but I fucked her up. So I'm in this situation where I'm trying to encourage change behaviors in an environment where everybody has to change behaviors. It's a family unit. But so much is being focused on her changing her behaviors. And if we want listen, I don't even have to keep this in the context of my family. This really is about anybody. We expect people to change their behaviors overnight while we can't change ours. Or, you know what I mean? Like, we expect our kids to act better and behave better, forgetting that it comes from a program mindset that we fucking gave them. I mean, like, stop and think about that for a minute. Like, your child's behavior, like, you programmed your kid. That's your kid. That programming and the way they're being came from what they heard, saw, starting in utero, in the womb. It started because they could hear it all out here. And we forget that. We want them to change their behavior, but we can't even change ours. You're like, we're still going to react the same way, but if it's like, we just talked about this behavior yesterday, and you hear 2 days later, you just did the same thing again, and wow, we get all mad. Forgetting that reaction, getting all mad, was birthed from a reaction to that is just another behavior pattern. But it's like, if we can't dial ourselves back, how you know what I mean? It's like there's people that are 50 years old. I'm 46. I'm still trying to change behavior patterns that I adopted when I was 15. For 30 fucking years, for 20 years. Well, not 20. A good decade, whatever. I tried to change behavior patterns of addiction. Still having to focus on them and stay focused on them. But we're going to expect our kids or anybody else to change overnight, but we can't. And like, life's full of that shit. Expecting from other people what we can't do ourselves. And I don't know why we do that, honestly. Is it a mirror thing? Is it because we need to see it? I don't know why we do that. But we definitely do. Yeah, we definitely fucking do. But I don't know, guys. I've ranted for a while now. I feel good. I feel like I just dumped a lot of shit out, and I feel like I need a cup of coffee now. Because no lie, I got up, I put some clothes on, I came, I lifted up the blinds to see what the weather looked out. See, I'm up in the middle. It's like gorgeous up here. All that greenery outside that window is raspberries. Raspberries and mint. I got a whole hillside of it back here behind my RV. But I'm ready for a cup of coffee because, again, I got up, I threw some clothes on, I came out here, I put on the FKJ, I opened up YouTube, I smoked a bowl, and I was like, all right, I opened up YouTube, put on the FKJ, and then I opened up Facebook, smoked the bowl, and I was like, I feel like talking this morning, so I'm going to. And so I got baked up, and yeah, I'm ready for coffee now. So happy Tuesday is today. Happy whatever day it is when you happen to watch this. Just be real, be authentic, be courageous, be brave. Don't avoid the conflicts in your life, the issues. Tackle them bitches head on. Just scorch the fucking earth. Like, really, if you're unsure about anything in your life, people, places, things, whatever, you're not sure what you should do, you're not sure who's being real to you, who's lying, who's being honest, what's meant for you, what isn't, torch it, man. Fucking torch it all. Call it all out. Take a deep fucking bath. People are gonna not like it. They're not gonna like it. I promise you. You're gonna look like an asshole or a bitch or what the fuck ever. People are gonna say some shit. But the thing is, as long as you're being real, like, you have to do it being real, and you got to be honest with yourself too. And the things around you, they have to be real fucking issues. You know what I mean? Not some bullshit issues just because you're mad about this, so you're gonna pick on this. You see what I mean? Like, you can't start nitpicking shit because you're mad about this bigger thing. Because that's what pisses people off, I think. You know what I mean? Because now I'm just nitpicking. No, I'm bitching about the same. I'm ripping hell on the same shit I've been talking about for the last 6 months. I'm just tired of being nice about it. Because being nice is apparently just nurturing it to continue. So fuck that. I'm going to torch it. We'll start over. So, yeah, if you're at that point in your life, go for it. I hope it works out well for you. If it does, cool, share it with people. If it doesn't, let me know. It seems to be working out well right now. But again, it's only subsiding after 2 weeks, and now I have to sit back and see what grows. And I have to remember, I'm reminding myself right at the end of this, when you nurture things, Casey, give them time to grow. Give them time to grow. Instead of just pouring. Pour so much love into something that you kill it. I said it in one of the lives I did, talking about this relationship and this woman. And I said it, and when I rewatched it, I caught myself, and I was like, and that's when it started clicking for me, I think. And I said, I was like, I adored this woman to death. I adored her to death. The words came out of my mouth. And when I watched back, and I was like, wow, that's exactly what you did, Casey. Too much. You adored it to death. You loved it to death. You poured and poured and pushed and pushed and pruned and pruned and trimmed and trimmed and trimmed. Till, yeah. So anyway, I hope all that made sense. Have a good day. Take a deep breath. And love yourself first and foremost. And be real and authentic. And if you're going to avoid anything, avoid toxic mindsets, avoid the news, avoid politics, avoid drugs and alcohol, and yeah, don't avoid the love. I love you guys. Have a great day.